Dream, search, drive. Cars.co.za.
Keep your adventure alive, because when it comes to finding the right part at the right price, there's just no place like Midas for the love of cars.
I'm going to say this in Afrikaans. Ik gebruik hom om te jaag, kak aan te jaag, meeste van die tijd. I'm Andries Nortier, and this is what used to be a Lada Niva. I bought the car from a good friend of mine, Peter Rousseau. He drove it when it was more in its standard form, and he started modding it. And then I wanted to build a Ultra 4 race car. And it had a very good low center of gravity, and the car was cheap enough to begin with to cut it up, because I don't want to start with an expensive car and cut it up totally. I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, so I like a car that can do, that's a jack of all trades, that can do some fast rally driving, some off-road racing and some rock crawling, and I like overlanding as well. I wanted to combine all the assets of all the motorsports. There's an Ultra 4 racing series that's going to start hopefully soon. And that's rally racing and rock crawling combined, and I chose this car to build it for that, to handle speed, to handle corners, to do donuts. The Ultra 4 racing is in America. It started with a bunch of friends that just raced each other in rock crawlers. Rock crawlers is traditionally used to slow rock crawling, and a bunch of friends decided they wanted to see how fast they can do the rock crawling trails, and it caught on so much that everybody loved it, and today it's a very big sport with seeing how fast you can go over rock crawling trails. My love for off-roading and for cars definitely started from my father. My father always loved fast cars, driving fast, and he's a very good driver on tar. And my grandfather was opposite. He was 4x4, camping, loved exploring. And I just took the two and I put them together, so I like fast off-roading. When I first purchased the car from my friend, I already modified it a little bit. He had a Ford V6 in, and he upgraded the front axle because they kept breaking. And then I bought it in that form. Then we gutted it. We took out the V6 and we put in Hilux axles. We came like halfway with the build. We had a different motor mounted in, and I got a good price on Land Cruiser 80 series axles with lockers front and rear, and we ripped out the Hilux axles and started the build from over again, and we dropped in the Land Cruiser 80 series axles with lockers. We dropped in the Lexus V8 1UZ. It's the non-VVTi, the first generations. It's got the stronger conrods and stuff, but a little bit less power. You get a lot of those motors, so parts are available. If you break or need parts, it's available, and it's cheaper than most motors. It kicks out about 170 kilowatt, around there. So it's not the fastest, most powerful motor, but it's very reliable, and you can need it in the limiters all day long. I wanted to put in a stronger motor, but with my past experience with past cars, I keep on breaking gearboxes, keep on breaking transfer cases and diffs, and I decided I'm rather gonna build a proper suspension to the little power that I have to put the power down, and to be able to so I don't have to let off the fuel, so I just can keep it flat. And rather than have all the power and you have to drive it safe and can't floor it because the axle's gonna break or something's gonna break, so I tried rather the suspension, keeping the power down, and especially over the rough stuff, so you don't need to tap off as much and corner as fast as you can. Yeah. Then we built in turning handbrakes, so you can rock crawling or high speed, you can make very sharp corners, turn the car on a dime. It's like a hydraulic handbrake, it works with hydraulic fluid instead of a cable, because the cable stretches. I normally do 2 or 3 donuts and the cable stretched and it doesn't work anymore. So I've got a hydraulic handbrake. It's got master cylinders in, and this one is a dual setup, so it's got 2 master cylinders close to each other and 2 levers close to each other. So you can pull both levers at once to lock both wheels to spin the car, or you can pull one lever at a time to lock up one rear wheel at a time. And then you can turn a lot sharper, and high speed, slow speed, rock crawling, if you want to turn it around a tree, or it makes a big difference in the maneuverability of the car. And we put in Rajflow coilover suspension, very long travel shocks with hydraulic bump stops. So the hydraulic bump stops makes the bumps much smoother. It eats up the bumps so you don't feel it in the car. At the moment the shock travel is 300 mils, the shock stroke. In the rear we mounted it forward on the rear swing arm, so it gives me about a third more travel than the shock allows. So I'm getting about 450 mils travel at the rear, which is quite good for a rock crawler and an off-road car. At the front it's still stuck to about 300 mils of travel. Yeah, it's the Rajflow coilovers. It's got dual coils, so you can set up the coils, adjust them for small bumps and bigger bumps. You can ramp up the compression if you're gonna hit stuff harder and faster. You can tune the shocks harder. We've also built a suspension so we can do donuts and gymkhanas, like doing donuts around traffic cones and stuff. It can drive it on the track. It can flex like a rock crawler, but it can still drive on the track with the cars. Basically, to go fast over stuff you're not supposed to go fast over. The tires I have on is Maxxis Bighorns. They're awesome tires. I've beat them to hell. They almost always drive flat, and I do donuts with them, and I spin them, and they do rock crawling. And before they were on this car, they were on my Overlander. I did overlanding trips with them. The rims I have is still homemade, the workshop made the laser cut, the rings, and you actually bolt on the bead onto the rim, so the bead can't debead and deflate as easily. I have a few tricks in there that we glue and some sealant and stuff that we put in there, so you don't get a flat as easily. And I'm very amazed at how well these tires are doing. We haven't had a lot of flat so far. The most problems we had is debeading the inside, because the outside is bead locked, but the inside bead is still a normal bead, so that debeats. That's the most problem we have with flat tires, is the inner rim debeading. I think the worst memory I had was at the Kois rally in Namibia. It was the first event out. On my second lap I was stuck behind a slower car and I couldn't get past, and I was struggling, fighting to get past, and the track was just too narrow. And we got to a marshal point where you have to stop, and they mark your car with a marker pen to make sure you went through the marshals. You have to stop, and he didn't want to let me get past, so he launched, and I tried to out-launch him to make up some track, and I launched too hard and I broke the 4x4 gearbox, and then my race was over. I was in such an adrenaline state. It was just from way up to falling down. It was such a letdown. I think my best memory of the car was the same race at Kois Rally, the first lap. It was our first event out with the car doing proper fast stuff, and just going out on the track, feeling how the car handled it. I just got goosebumps for most of the race. The lap is about 40-50 kilometers long, and just hitting those whoops, sand whoops and bumps, I couldn't believe it. I just got goosebumps the whole way about how the car performs and handles and the suspension working, and couldn't believe it's a car that me and my friends built in a garage, and after hours. It's probably been coming on 5 years, and we've been on and off building and modifying, and it was just awesome feeling that everything coming together, and it's working so well as it's working. Every time I go out on it, I think I have the limit, and it just can go further and further and further. The car's limit is way beyond my limits that I thought it had. I would be driving fast or something, and I'd see a bump a little bit late, a little bit too fast, and I would think, oh, I'm too fast. And then I hit the bump, it's like, what was that? Where's the bump? There wasn't even, you don't even feel the bump. So the suspension just soaks up a lot. It's amazing how much abuse and what size bumps this suspension can soak up. You can climb pavements, you can even like double pavement size heights, you can climb that at speed, and it's amazing what the suspension soaks up. I mostly use the car, I'm going to say this in Afrikaans, ek gebruik hom om te jaag, kak aan te jaag, meeste van die tyd. Like I said, I built it to be a jack of all trades, so I've done gymkhanas, that's on the tar road with the cones, you have to do a track, so it's on the tar road doing donuts and spinning. I've done some 4x4 events where you have those markers and you have to flex and crawl through the markers, it's slower speed crawling. I've done some rally sprints, that's more fast, gravel road, high paced. And then the Namibia rally, Koish rally and the Oranje Moons rally. They're more high speed. I hit about 160, 165 kilometers per hour on the Namibian rallies. They're nice and fast. The car drives very stable. It's especially if you keep your foot down. As long as you keep your foot flat and you're in four-wheel drive, the car just tracks. Where you point the steering wheel, that's where it goes. If you're in two-wheel drive, it's more fun to drive, but it's tail happy and you have to play with the throttle more. You can't just put the power down, the back wants to come out a lot, but I drive it mostly in four-wheel drive. It gives a lot more control over the car. If you see you're too fast in the corner, you can just ease into the throttle and it will pull you into the direction where you're turning the steering wheel. So you can't believe just how much handling this car has for a rock roller. I'm totally amazed about the handling for a rock roller, putting it into the corner. And then there's a trick with the turning brakes that helps a lot. If I see I'm too fast for a corner, I can brake my rear wheel separately. Also I can brake my inner rear wheel, and that'll pull the car into the corner as well. So if I'm too fast for a corner, I'm going to overshoot the corner, I can pull the front in. That helps a lot. That makes a big difference in cornering the car. Other mods I'd like to do, when I have the budget for stronger gearbox, at the moment my car's limitation is the gearbox is the weak link, the transfer case is the weak link. When I launch the car and I land foot on the throttle, I've broken 3 transfer cases. It's just too much grip, too much power for it to handle. So I'd like to upgrade the gearbox, the transfer case to something stronger so that I can keep my foot flat. I don't have to tap off. And then I'd like to go to bigger tires. I'd like to end up on 37-inch Lexus tires just to soak up bigger bumps at higher speed. It's already soaking up very well, but I think that for the rock crawling part, the bigger tires will just give me that bit of extra ground clearance. I would just like to thank everybody that helped with the build. There's a ton of people that helped.
Stick up! Fly! Cars.co.za. Are you busy trying to decide between 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars, 5 cars, 6 cars? We have an excellent compare tool on our site which will help you make sense of all the different pricing and all the different specs. You'll find it on our main site as well as in our app. It's super slick, it's easy to use, it's highly detailed, it's constantly updated with the latest information and pricing, and I can guarantee you it'll make your life a ton easier. Check it out on our website, link in the description below.
Keep your adventure alive, because when it comes to finding the right part at the right price, there's just no place like Midas. For the love of cars.